Good evening to one and all present here. It's a privilege to welcome and a proud moment for all of us to welcome the alumni of Velamal Bodhi campus, Sudhindra, who did his BTech in Aerospace Engineering at Amrita Vishwa Vidyapith, Coimbatore, and he has also completed his doctorate PhD in Aerospace Engineering at Amrita Vishwa Vidyapith, Coimbatore, and his research area is of high performance composite materials. And he has already published 8 articles in international journals and 1 book chapter and 2 patents and received Garda Research Fellowship during PhD. So currently working as a Deputy Manager, Research and Development Industrial Ceramics Division for Vodam Universal Limited. So he is the proud alumni for Velamal Bodhi campus who came forward and really accepted our invitation and came forward to guide the fellow mates who are all been inspiring and to get awareness about the aerospace engineering. He's the right person to guide you all to take it forward and to get a knowledge about aerospace engineering exclusively in this particular field. I also welcome the principal in charges and the teacher coordinators and the children and the parents who have been accompanied eagerly to get knowledge from the aerospace engineering. Thank you one and all for joining on time. I hand over the session for Sudhindra. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for a very warm introduction.
Thank you, Sudhindra.
I'll share my screen. Let me know if it is visible. Is it visible, ma'am?
Yes, Sudhi, you can proceed.
Yeah. So, good evening to one and all. It is actually a great honor to actually come here and sit in front of all of you. And it is not possible in physical, but even though it is virtual, it is a great feeling to actually come out of Velaman Bodhi campus and then now be here to sit in front of all of you guys to actually present something. It's a great honor. Thank you to Imam and all the coordinators and principal for having given me this opportunity. So first, I would like to introduce myself. I'm Sudhindra K. I'm actually a 5-year Veloma product. 3 years I did my 8th, 9th, 10th, which is high school from Veloma's Rocket. And then 11th and 12th, I did my higher secondary from Veloma Bodhi campus. And if I'm not wrong, we were the first batch of students to come out of Veloma Bodhi campus, like full-time students. There was one more batch before us, but I don't think it was a full-time thing. But so we were the first batch from Veloma Bodhi campus. I did my BTech in aerospace engineering, as man said, from Amrita Vishwa Vidyapith. And then again, after my BTech, I did my PhD in aerospace engineering again. Currently, I work as a deputy manager in research and development for industrial ceramics division of UNI. So this is about me. And if you have any queries regarding aerospace or aviation going further, this is my email address that I've mentioned here. You can drop a mail at any point in time. I'll reply back. That is not an issue. I would have given my LinkedIn or some other profile, but I think because most of the audience is 9 to 12, I think it's better if I give my email ID. So you can take a screenshot or note it down or whatever it is. So moving on. So this thing, I wouldn't want to pour a lot of people, like a lot of children here, because it's 6 to 7 right now. Probably they're playing time on the weekend. So I wouldn't bore them a lot. I'll try to keep it as crisp as possible, and then maybe open the session to questions where they can ask specific things, which I'll try to address. That would be a better way, I think, rather than trying to explain a lot of things, because most of it will go above their head. So I'll try to cut short whatever I have to tell, and then try to have students ask me a lot of questions so that I can address what their concern is rather than it being a one-way traffic where I talk about things. So first of all, what is aerospace? The topic of the seminar is aviation, but here I'm talking about aerospace. So first of all, I would like to tell what is aerospace to all of you who will not know, who may not know. Aerospace is a very broad branch of technology and engineering field. It is not only about space or aircraft or anything like that, but it is a broad domain. It involves design, development, production, and operation of aircrafts, spacecrafts, or anything related to. For example, nowadays we hear a lot about drones, UAVs. Those also come under aerospace. So aviation is a sub part of aerospace. So aerospace is the broader terminology that encompasses everything, right from designing a spacecraft, satellite, Chandrayaan rover, Vikram lander, everything comes under aerospace. Be it a Boeing 787, 747, whatever you design in the air comes under aerospace. So that is aerospace for you. It is a very broad domain. It not only uh, involves the design or development of a product, but also the production and the operation of such aircrafts or spacecrafts. So that is what is aerospace. So in terms of applications, why is it important? Why is aerospace important? That is one more thing that we always try to understand, right? What is the importance of airspace? One is global connectivity, be it in terms of physical connectivity, in terms of aircrafts, or in terms of communication connectivity, because satellites are the ones that take our signal, throw it back to us at a different place, right? So that is a domain of aerospace. So connectivity is one, and then defense, uh, air force, or missile development, even that comes under aerospace because something is flying, right? So defense is one more thing. So connectivity is one, defense is one more thing, and then exploration, right? You want to explore the moon, you want to explore Mars, you want to explore upper atmosphere. So all this is also a part of aerospace. And then navigation. Uh, Nowadays, we see Uber, Swiggy, everything has GPS, right? Everything is a product of GPS. If GPS is not there, all these things would not have come into action. So it is a very important aspect of our existence right now in terms of all the apps that we know of, be it Google or every app or every technology nowadays uses GPS, and GPS is a byproduct of aerospace. Moving on, one more thing which is very important is the fact that there's environmental monitoring, weather reports, remote sensing. Nowadays, we see crop monitoring. Everything is done through satellites. That is also a product of aerospace. So that is also an important aspect of aerospace that we are looking into. And then humans want to go to Mars. Humans want to go to Moon. Human space exploration. We want to see other planets, how they look, and how they appear. So even that aspect comes down to aerospace, not even exploration. And then one more thing is technological advancement. A lot of the technologies that have been developed for space does not find application only in space. For example, we see Bluetooth. It was invented, not Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, everything which was developed for space has been implemented in our daily life. For example, we see all this robo vacuum, right? That was actually developed. That technology was developed for rovers across the planet, somewhere in Mars. But that technology has been adopted at a commercial level, at a lower scale, so that it can be used for our daily life also. So a lot of the technologies that have been developed for space have been adopted at a daily level also. So that is also an important thing, aerospace in modern times. Then, as I said, so to summarize, we have defense, everything comes under aerospace, which really makes aerospace as one of the most important fields. It is not only about going to moon or Mars. is also about crop monitoring for farmers. It is also about drones for security. Nowadays, we saw in COVID times, we saw police monitoring riots and everything through UAVs, right? So you need not have a person go into a danger zone. He can send in a UAV. So that is also aerospace for you, because aerospace encompasses everything which flies, which goes in the air. So that is why aerospace is important, especially in the upcoming times. Now, as I said, aerospace versus aviation. What is the difference? The presentation is about aviation, but what I'm talking is mostly stressing aerospace, because aerospace encompasses aviation is a subset of aerospace. Aerospace contains two things. One is aeronautics or aviation. The other part is astronautics, or which is called a space studies. So now keep one. So aviation basically means helicopters, commercial flights, UAVs, helicopters or gliders, aeroplanes. All these things come under aviation. Aerospace encompasses that as well as spacecrafts, satellites, missiles, all those things. So that is the key difference between aerospace and aviation. Now, aviation is basically used for general commercial air travel, general aviation, military aviation, as well as cargo transportation. Uh, the altitude along which an aviation operates is generally around 100 kilometers from the Earth's surface. That is another key difference, and that is the main thing about the difference between aerospace and aviation. So I hope you would have got clarity about things, because there are a lot of career paths which take. There is aerospace engineering and there is aeronautical engineering, right? So when you're choosing a degree, so when they say aeronautical engineering, it basically means they are focusing mostly on flights in terms of propulsion for the flights, uh, general flights. When they take aerospace, when they say it is aerospace, they not only consider technicalities of the general flights, but also for the space systems, be it rockets, missiles, or satellites. So this is the primary difference between aerospace and aviation. So this is about general things in terms of aerospace and aviation, and maybe at a later stage, if anybody has particular questions on fundamentals or specific things about aerospace and aviation, I'll address it. But now I'm moving towards what are the career opportunities that are there in aerospace or aviation, right? I'll try to keep it short because aerospace is a very extremely diverse domain. Because as you know, you can be a pilot. Pilots also, there are multiple things. One is a commercial pilot, and then there is a military pilot, right? Engineers, there is n number of engineers that are associated with aerospace. And then astronauts is something which is very niche, which is very creamy, but uh, which is which is not a very, what do I say, very, it's very fancy, but not a lot of astronauts are there in the world. So if you want to be that also, it is a very good thing, but you cannot expect to be an astronaut. You'll either have to be something else, and then when an opportunity arises, you'll have to move towards being an astronaut. You cannot train from the start to be an astronaut. For example, Rakesh Sharma is an astronaut. He was not an astronaut from the very beginning itself. He was an Air Force pilot. And then when there was an opening, he applied and he became an astronaut. We Kalpana Chawla, she was a scientist, and then she moved towards becoming an astronaut. So that is how astronaut thing works. Is that is something else, and then scientists developing the systems, developing the process, developing the product. for aerospace. So that comes under scientists. Technicians, uh, technicians doesn't actually mean only a low level technician because a lot of like Indian Air Force, it takes graduates at three levels. One is a pilot, one is a technician. These are graduates, B.Tech, M.Tech people. They take as graduates, they take as pilots, they take as technicians, they take them as administrative people. And then there are designers, computational analysts, and there are n number of things because aerospace, when you see, it is not like computer science engineering, right? Computer science engineering means you are working with computers. Uh, a chemical engineer means you are working with chemicals. But when you come to aerospace, it is a domain which requires mechanical engineer, which requires a civil engineer, which requires a computer science engineer, which requires an electronics and communication engineer, which requires an electrical engineer also, because all these people come together to make an aircraft. When you see aerospace, there is propulsion, which is how a jet engine works, or how the engine of the entire system works. So that is propulsion. That is the first domain of aerospace. The second domain is aerodynamics, which is how an aircraft flies. That is aerodynamics for you. And then there is structural engineering, which is basically how the, the structure of the aircraft has to be designed so that it can take all the loads while flying, while landing. All this is taken under structural engineering. And then there is fourth, which is materials. What material has to be used in the structure? That is a different field altogether. And then there is something called as avionics, which is aviation electronics, right? So electronic systems that are a part of the flight or spacecraft comes under avionics. So now these are the five major parts of aerospace. And when you see that an avionics requires an electronics engineer, materials requires a materials or a chemical engineer or a materials engineer or a metallurgical engineer. And the third thing, which is aerodynamics or propulsion, requires mechanical engineers who are very good at thermodynamics. Aerodynamics requires engineers who are very good at fluid dynamics, right? Mechanical engineers who are good at fluid dynamics. And then the fifth part, which is structural engineering, requires people either mechanical or civil engineer who are good at structural analysis. So a career opportunity, pilots is different. If you want to become a pilot, you have two options. One is an Air Force pilot or a commercial pilot. A commercial pilot is a completely different domain altogether. You'll have to get some training certificates. That is a different thing. An Air Force pilot requires you to get through something called as a SSB. There is AFCAT, Air Force Common Aptitude Test that you will have to write after your graduation, B.Tech. Graduation can mean anything, be it civil, aerospace, anything you can do, but then you have to write an exam called as AFCAT. If you pass that, there will be an interview, a rigorous interview, and then you become a pilot, Indian Air Force pilot. So that is how. Engineers, you need not be an aerospace engineer to be an engineer in aerospace domain. That is very important. You can be anything. You can be a civil engineer and still work in aerospace. You can be a computer science engineer. You can still be in aerospace. So that is what is. Astronauts, as I told you, is uh, very the opportunity is close to nil. You can consider. So that is it. And then scientists, that is one place where you need to have an aerospace degree to have a better understanding of aerospace. So I did my B.Tech in engineering, and then when I'm doing my PhD in aerospace engineering, it makes a lot more sense. Technicians, as I said, it does not require you to be an aerospace engineer. You can be any engineer, but then that domain will require uh, that expertise. A designer again, uh, this is mostly associated with uh, mechanical engineering. Computational analysts again, mechanical engineering. Support system two roles again. If you are a support system in electronics, you need an electronics degree. So what I'm saying here is the career opportunities. If you want to work in aerospace, right? It need not be an aerospace degree. You can opt for any degree, and then during your third year or fourth year of engineering, try to specialize in something which will take you to aerospace domain, right? So, for example, I'm telling you, ISRO has entrance. If you do your bachelor's degree, and then if you want to get into ISRO as a scientist, there is an exam, entrance exam, and there are three papers that you will have to write. You can choose between three papers that you can write. One is mechanical engineering, the second one is computer science engineering, and the third one is electronics engineering. So there is no separate paper for aerospace engineering in ISRO itself, right? So what if you having an aerospace engineering degree is good to be in aerospace, but even if you have any other degree, it is fun to get into aerospace domain. And the career wise, there is one is government and then there is private. Government opportunities are very limited in terms of there is only national laboratories, for example, DRDO, which is Defense Research uh, and Development Organization, and there is NAL, National Aeronautics Laboratories, and then there is HAL, Hindustan Aeronautics Limited, and then there is ISRO, everyone knows that, the Space Research Organization. So these are the uh, primary organizations that recruit or have aerospace in them. And when I say aerospace, it means aeronautics as well as space. And then there is, if you come to private, there is not a lot of developmental or research work that happens. There is mostly execution part. There is Airbus, Boeing, a lot of Tata. Everyone does some kind of an aerospace engineering there, but there they prefer people from mechanical or electronics background because, for example, HAL is one company. I mean, I said ISRO example. HAL is Hindustan Aeronautics Limited. They are the ones that produce a lot of military aircrafts in India. Not a lot. All the military aircrafts that are produced in India are from HAL right now. They have two entries. One is an engineering entry, the other one is a management entry. And the engineering entry does not consider aerospace engineering as a qualification, right? Why is that? Is because, as I said, every department is different there. A person who is working in heat treatment department is not required to have an aerodynamics knowledge. They require someone who knows heat treatment perfectly. So they prefer people from core branches, mechanical or computer science or electronics, rather than an aerospace engineer who knows everything, but not everything to an extent where he's an expert in that domain. So these are the career opportunities. There's a lot of opportunities, be it government or private, but you will have to make sure that you have to fix your mind on where you want to go. If you want to go, that is where the educational pathway will come. If you want to, there are two things. One is a job oriented educational pathway, and then there is a research oriented educational pathway. A job oriented educational pathway would mean that you want to work in ISRO. If you want to work in ISRO, if that is your dream, if that is your goal, if that is your passion, you will have to try to uh, gain experience in the domains they work. And to maximize that opportunity, you can opt for mechanical, electronics, or computer science, and then go accordingly there. If you want to work in Airbus, uh, you would want to take mechanical or computer science because that is the most easy, not easy. I would say that is the most efficient way of going there, right? If you want to work in any other company, for example, HAL, if you want to work, then that job-oriented educational pathway would be to opt for core engineering, that is computer science, mechanical, or electronics or electrical, and then try to gain experience or try to gain competencies or try to gain expertise with respect to aerospace in your third or fourth year of engineering. If you, the second part is if you want to go in a research oriented educational pathway, which is I want to do BTech, I want to do my MTech or MS abroad, and then I want to do my PhD and then do cutting edge research. It is not job, it is a research oriented. Like you want to find something new, you want to design an aircraft. That is when an aerospace degree will be helpful for you. If you want to work in ISRO, I think having a core engineering degree is what will make you reach there easier. But if you want to do research, even in DRDO, if you want to do research, then an aerospace degree will help you more rather than a core education, like core branch. And I thought this will be a more an interactive thing. That is why I gave this as you tell me. Uh, so recent breakthroughs in aerospace. Can they answer, ma'am, or is it possible for them to know? Okay. Okay. Mm. Okay. So I mean, everybody would know that what has been in news, right? Especially in India, we are seeing Chandrayaan 3 launch, and uh, then the landing of Vikram, Pragyan rover, uh, conducting this experiment. That is one of the key innovation that has happened right now from Indian perspective, and we have launched another uh, sonar sun exploration probe also very recently from ISRO. And then you see aerospace innovation overall, we are seeing a lot of things happening there in terms of we had the James Webb telescope that was launched very recently, and then NASA is doing Mars exploration, right? They are sending rovers to Mars, and then there's a helicopter that has been sent to Mars. There is an uh, increasing interest in trying to land on Mars and try to have some kind of a colony in Mars. Those are things that are happening, and then there's uh, a lot of things are happening right now. There is Starlink, a constellation of satellites around the Earth that have been sent by SpaceX so that they can beam uh, free internet everywhere. And then a lot of things are happening right now. So these are some of the innovations. And then what is the future? There's still scope for a lot of improvement in terms of there's a concept called supersonic travel. Supersonic basically means if it takes, for example, if a flight takes right now 3 hours to fly from Chennai to Delhi, there is a concept called a supersonic flight, and I'm not sure if many people would know that had been achieved previously with Concorde. They shelved it because of a lot of complications, but now they are trying to bring it back. So a travel between uh, Chennai to Delhi would take probably 20, 30 minutes or 30, 40 minutes. So that is something that they're trying to bring back, which was actually achieved previously. Now they're trying to bring back and make it more efficient. The propulsion systems, the engines of aircraft, they're trying to make it into electric. Um, in space, they're trying a lot of things. India is trying to launch their first human space mission. So there is a lot of exciting things that are happening. Not only in terms of hi-fi things, even small things like drones. There is a lot of startups that have started in India with respect to drones, uh, drone technology, UAVs. There's a lot of adoption of UAVs in India that time with respect to commercial things. So a lot of things are happening with respect to even crop. fertilizer, spraying through drone, crop planting through drone, seed planting through drone. All of these things are future of aerospace. So there's a lot of domain for especially people who are in their 12th and 11th. If they are trying to uh, get into aerospace domain and work on these technologies, you'll have to sort your uh, priorities in terms of trying to see where you can go and what you're interested in. If you're interested in ISRO, then you'll have to take a different path altogether. If you're interested in core research, developing systems, developing materials, developing the aircraft as such, then you'll have to take a different path altogether. So that is why I will try to keep the seminar open right now. If you have specific questions, you can ask me so that I can address them because trying to give an overall domain would make it too generic. So, so I'd like to open this session for questions if anybody has any.
Thank you so much, Sudhindra. You have explained in a very simple and humble and according to the children level, you have come down and you explained in a very brief manner. We are very much thankful for that.
Thank you.
Children, I will open the chat box now. You can post your queries one by one. If you show the hand icon also, I can unmute the order the way you're going to want to ask your questions. Either of the way you can use so that the guest speaker we can answer your queries. I given you option of the chat. You can use that for texting your questions to speaker.
We have one question from Ambika Cheyakantan uh, regarding aviation course. Yes, see, there is that is a separate domain altogether. There is aviation maintenance. Uh, that is a very viable domain also. There is separate courses for aviation, right? Yeah, getting a job there is also possible. And even aviation encompasses something called as technical aviation, which basically means maintaining the aircraft or giving clearance. So that is a uh, booming field also, maintaining an aircraft, and so that is possible. Having an aviation course degree and getting a job is actually there is a lot of demand for that because commercial aircraft right now and commercial aviation right now with respect to commercial flights is actually booming right now. There's a lot more demand for people who have that knowledge. So yeah, there is a good scope for getting a job after aviation course also. The second question from Selvi, what is the biggest problem in aerospace? Uh, uh, See, that is where you come into play to solve those biggest problems, right? So, biggest problem, I wouldn't say there is any biggest problem right now because we are trying to expand our capabilities every now and then. So, I wouldn't say it as a problem, but it is a challenge that people are working on. For example, weight reduction for a spacecraft because sending 1 kg of weight to Mars or anywhere for the fact of matter costs you crores of rupees. So weight reduction in the aircraft as such is a big challenge that people are trying to address. So that is one thing. And second thing is for commercial aircraft, they want to try to make sure that they're not burning fossil fuels, but rather than move towards electric engines so that it becomes less polluting. So that is one more. I wouldn't say it is a problem, but it is a challenge. Coming to Indian aerospace, there is not a lot of aerospace companies as such in private. It is very limited. So that is a problem because once you pass as an aerospace engineer, there's not a lot of jobs that are readily available. But that is changing right now with respect to UAVs. There's a lot of private startups with respect to space that are coming up. Skyroot Aerospace, Garuda Aerospace. There are a lot of things coming up. So things are changing, but maybe 5 years back, there was not a lot of opportunities for freshly graduated aerospace engineers. That is the problem for Indian aerospace, not overall aerospace. So there's no big problem in aerospace, but there are a few challenges. Best college for this, if you're opting for an aerospace degree, a pure aerospace degree, obviously the IITs would be there. IIT Bombay, IIT Kanpur, IIT Kharagpur, all of them have aerospace degrees. Uh, Other than IITs, there's, as I said, Amrita. Amrita has a dedicated aerospace program. Amrita is like, I don't know, it was ranked fourth best university a couple of years back. Now I think it's sixth best university in the country, and aerospace program is pretty good there. But yeah, so you can opt for that also. Amrita is there, and then there is a lot of colleges are there. But at the end of the day, there is one thing that you have to remember is it's not about where you study, because it's not about where you study or what you study. It's about how you study, how you do it. Because you find a lot of students who come from little or well, not so well known colleges who end up in SRO just because of their dedication, right? So yeah, so the best colleges obviously would be IITs, and then Amrita is there for aerospace degree as such. I think even SRM has the aerospace stream. VIT, I'm not sure they have in aerospace. Yeah. But as I said, you need not, if you want to get into the aerospace domain, it's not that you have to study aerospace engineering only. You can get into any of the stream, and then maybe at a later stage of your degree, third year or fourth year, try to concentrate on getting some skills that would help you get into aerospace domain. So yeah, I think I hope I answered Dia's question. Mohammed Ismail is asked what are the advantages of aerospace? It's a very big question. As I said, aerospace does not only mean exploration of the space, it also means uh, a small things like GPS is a product of aerospace. Uh, Everything, for example, remote sensing, weather, weather prediction, it is also a product of aerospace. Anything that involves a satellite moving around is a product of aerospace. So yeah, so that is the advantages of aerospace. It not only means going to the moon, it also means you have Google Maps also. So those are the advantages of aerospace. Uh, that was Mohammed Ismail's question. TIS Pooja, can you tell our commercial aviation? Yeah, as I said, commercial aviation, um, it is a very expanding, especially in our uh, commercial. Can you, especially in the present context for India, there's a lot of demand for commercial aviation related jobs. The technicians, be it maintenance engineers or even pilots, all that. So there is because I mean I'm not sure if you follow news. Uh, India has placed the biggest orders for commercial aircraft from Airbus and Boeing, both Indian Air India, which is owned by Tata, as well as Indigo Airlines, has placed a huge order which will be fulfilled probably 10 years down the line. So when almost 1,100 aircrafts come to India, it would require specialized, skilled experts who can maintain that, work with it. So it's not an easy field. It would require an expertise and a lot of people. So there will be a demand that will be generated in the next 5 to 10 years. Maybe by the time you graduate, you will have that demand created. So commercial aviation is also a very booming field. Mohit, ninth standard, is asking aerospace worth it? Yes, it's a very great question. Yes, it is worth it. If you have passion to contribute something to a very advanced technology, then it is worth trying to. What is the best to become fighter pilot or commercial pilot? Commercial pilot, you would you will have to complete your degree, some kind of a degree. Uh, Engineering is preferred, but yeah, so you will have to complete a basic degree. Most preferred is engineering, and then you will have to enroll for a pilot course and then try to finish that licensing, which is a very tedious and a very long process. It is a very difficult thing. Uh, very difficult. It requires a lot of perseverance. One more important thing is you need to have your eye. You should not wear your specs. You should not wear specs or something. Or if you're wearing it, you need to get your LASIK done before you opt for being the pilot. So that is one thing about commercial aircraft, commercial pilot. Fighter pilot, as I said, you will have to complete your degree, be it engineering. You'll have to complete your engineering degree and then write an exam called as AFCAT. It's called Air Force Common Aptitude Test. And then once you pass the AFCAT test, you'll have to give an interview. There's something called as SSB, Service Selection Board. It's a 1 week process, interview process. After finishing that, you will be shortlisted, and there's a lot of process. So at the outset, you'll have to write an AFCAT exam to become a fighter pilot. Now, Mukundan is asking how many aeroplane companies in India. Uh, Aeroplane, I am not sure what you mean by aeroplane company, uh, but aerospace related companies would be ISRO, DR, in terms of government would be ISRO, NAL, DRDO. Private would be Boeing. Boeing has some functions in India. They do not necessarily make aircrafts, but they have support system for aircrafts. So Boeing, Airbus, and then um, Boeing, Airbus is there. Skyroot Aerospace, which is a startup, space startup from India. And then there is Garuda Aerospace, and then there are n number of drone companies. There is a lot of drone companies that are there. You can Google it. So yeah, so these are some of the aerospace related companies. There are no specific aeroplane manufacturing companies in India right now, commercial aircraft, but there are military related uh, aircraft manufacturing companies which are government companies. Can you tell what are the books we should study for aerospace engineering and what exam we have to write? From Kaushik. So, I mean, there is no different exam that you write for getting into aerospace engineering. It is general exams like general exams like aerospace, like engineering entrance exams, be it IIT JEE or any other for Amrita. There is Amrita entrance exams. So that you have to write, and then during the counseling you will have to opt for aerospace engineering. So only aerospace engineering. There is no specific exams that you write. Books, it depends on after you enroll into aerospace engineering, you'll have to, according to the curriculum, there will be books that will be prescribed for you. But if you are very interested about it, as a starting point, there is a book called as Introduction to Aerospace Engineering by Anderson that you can look into. But I don't think it will be useful right now. Only after you get into engineering, it will be a lot more interesting, or you will be able to comprehend. But as of now, books would not be useful. But exam, it is general engineering exam. Once you pass that during the counseling, you'll have to opt for aerospace engineering. How much money can we earn in this job? Uh, it's a very vague question. Like, um, how much money? It depends. Yeah, I don't have a particular answer. You can earn right from 25,000 a month to all the way up to 10 lakhs a month. Also, it depends on what you do. So, so it is a very vague question. I cannot answer it in a single line. Commercial aviation, as I said already, it is with respect to all the aircrafts, Indigo, Air India. Vistara, whatever. Those airlines require a lot of support function in terms of technical maintenance, pilot, and even, for example, even the service crew. So all that. So a lot of back-end things happen, maintenance of the aircraft, inspection, all that requires a little bit of a technical expertise in terms of aerospace engineering. So yeah, so commercial aviation is that. I think I explained it previously also to somebody else's question. How many years study? So 4 years of bachelor's and then 2 years of, if you're going for master's, it would be 2 years and then PhD. PhD is not a definite one. You can finish it in 3 years also. It can take 10 years also. So yeah, that is the how many years of study. Any disadvantage in aerospace, it would require you to have a very dedicated and a very concentrated view in terms of what you want to achieve because it's a very broad domain. So yeah, that is one disadvantage in aerospace that it will require a lot of focus in terms of what you want to achieve. Yeah, aerospace is better to in terms of number of opportunities kept in the field of space and aviation. It's a very good question by Kushal. Kushal, yeah. So yeah, uh, if you want a job, offer mechanical engineering. If you want to work hands-on on something in aerospace or aviation engineering, it is better you take mechanical engineering. And during your third or fourth year of engineering, uh, you will have an understanding about fluid dynamics, you will have understanding about thermodynamics, everything, all the domains you'll have understanding. So in your third or fourth year, you can work on what you want to in aerospace itself, what you want to do. Like if you want to go towards aerodynamics, you can concentrate on fluid dynamics and aerodynamics. If you want to work on propulsion, you can concentrate on thermodynamics and try to gain that experience. There are a lot of software tools that are available right now because nowadays nobody does experiments in their hand or in the lab. Everything is done on the computer. So getting that exposure is also really important. So if you want to work hands-on on a job rather than research, opt for mechanical or electrical or computer science engineering, then try to get into aerospace domain. But if you want to do pure research, try to if you want to work on designing aircraft, designing this engine and all that is better to offer aerospace engineering. So number of opportunities would actually be more for mechanical rather than aerospace. Again, the same question is aerospace worth it? Depends on you. If you're passionate about it, it is worth. If you're not passionate and if you don't have any choice and you're opting for aerospace, then it will become very difficult. Which is the best college? IITs, mainly IITs, which offers a dedicated aerospace program is good. Uh, and then, as I said, you can come from any stream into aerospace domain if you want. Is any recruitment exam available to be selected in good aerospace engineering colleges? IIT JEE. I'm not sure about the means advanced right now, but yeah, IITs have a separate exam. So yeah, that's IITs are the best, and then every college has a separate exam right now. Private colleges, SARM has their own, uh, Amrita has its own entrance exam, VIT has its own exam, so you need to write that. Uh, so start preparing for it. Which is the best college for aerospace again, IITs. Which is the best fighter pilot or commercial pilot? It depends on you though. It's like if you are ready to, if you're brave enough, you can be a fighter pilot. It's definitely a personal choice. Can you please view the slide? Uh, maybe you can put your email or something. I'll share it with you. I'm not able to understand. Can you please view the slide? No, sure. You can drop a mail. Best college for aerospace engineering, again IITs. How important to our society? How important is aerospace engineering to our society? It's very important because, as I said, there is a lot of technologies that have been developed for aerospace, but then it has seeped into the society, remote sensing, weather prediction, all that were for aerospace, but then now they have seeped into a daily life also, be it television, anything for the fact of the matter is a byproduct of aerospace engineering. So it is very important. It is still very, there is a lot of scope. I think it does not say how many years it's going to take to become a pilot. Um, it depends after your degree, it might take 5 or 6 years. Uh, yeah. So after your bachelor's, it would take 5 to 6 years. What is the best college for aerospace? Again, IITs, for exam for aerospace engineering, again, engineering entrance exams, and then opt for aerospace engineering during your counseling. No, should not ethics. No, you can become an aerospace engineer. So there's no restriction on wearing spectacles for that. I was talking about being a pilot. That would require some level of high competency. Not for becoming an aerospace. You can become an aerospace engineer and then be an engineer or scientist or a researcher. That is okay. Exam for it again, general engineering exam. How much cutoff is needed to join aviation? It depends on the college. How many of them are getting jobs? Uh, everyone who, I mean, everyone who passes their appropriate degree with the level of grades and they have their competences, they know something about aerospace will get a job. But sometimes it happens that they will not get a job in the company that they want to. Everybody cannot get into ISR. So some people will have to adjust somewhere else. So getting jobs for an aerospace engineer is not a problem, but getting job where you want to will require your effort. And it's not like if you study aerospace engineering, you'll end up in some. It's not like um, think again, it's about pilot, it's about highs. Highs, as I told, it is only for pilot. That issue is there. It is not for general aerospace engineering. Company available in Pondicherry? No, you'll have to check. I'm not sure. Physical test for aerospace? No, there's no physical test for aerospace. You want to become a fighter pilot, that is when a physical test is required. How much money we can earn as a pilot? I have no idea. I'm not a pilot. Can we able to go to other countries where we want? Yeah. One good thing about aerospace engineering is there's a lot of universities abroad that look for people with BTech in aerospace engineering. So it is a very viable thing to do masters abroad. So yeah, so it is a very good option uh, to go abroad and try to get your masters in aerospace engineering. What are the exams to become a pilot? Um, it depends. Commercial aircraft has a separate course altogether. You can look at the college for commercial aviation. There are n number of colleges. Um, like you can check it. What is the best college again? IITs. What is the best college for aerospace by scholarship in other countries? For bachelors, uh, there's a lot of colleges in Europe. Europe actually, like especially the Scandinavian countries. Sweden has KTH, and then France has ISA, Sparrow. All these colleges, they do not charge you for your tuition fees because that is their law there that tuition fees is not charged for students. Yeah. So there is a lot of colleges in Europe and as well as US which accept uh, BTech, like bachelor's to be done in US also. But it is not many people go for bachelor's abroad. It is mostly masters. They do bachelor's in India and then move for masters abroad, masters and PhD. Thank you, man. Uh, Scholarship from sports. Yeah, getting a scholarship is purely from a purely from a very college point of view. There are colleges that offer scholarship for merit as well as sports. So it depends on the college where you're going. So, but scholarship from sports is definitely possible. How many years it takes to complete our graduation? 4 years. It is similar to what every other engineering takes. How many colleges are there for aerospace engineering? I'm not sure separate stream for aerospace is there for in more than 20 colleges in India. If you are looking for Tamil Nadu, it's SRM, uh, Amrita. These are two higher tier colleges that offer aerospace engineering. Obviously, there is IIT Madras. That is the first choice, and then Amrita and SRM offer it. There are a few colleges like Nehru and Karpagam, if I'm not wrong. All these colleges they offer aeronautical engineering, but wouldn't recommend it. Mm, This is separate course. Yeah, this is separate course altogether. Best college again is IITs with the mark. There is one question. Naneshwar Prasad with the mark. Your position will be charged. I don't understand. Um, in J exam, 90% mark is enough for IIT. Mm, no, depends on in JEE exam. 90% is enough for IIT. Um, understand that question. How many with how many percentage with the scholarship in aerospace depends on the college. IITs there is no scholarship as such uh, for any students. In private universities there is 10%. The first 10%, like for example, if aerospace engineering is approved for 70 people, 7 of them will get scholarships. So it's something like that in private universities. IITs, if I'm not wrong, there are no scholarships. Is the best college for air traffic control. There is no specific course on air traffic control. You'll have to do your degree, probably in electronics, electrical, or aerospace, or aeronautical, and then apply for a job which is specific to air traffic control. There is no specific um, college for without JEE exam. Yeah, you can enter through writing for private colleges if they have a separate entrance exam. You will have to write that entrance exam and then get into aerospace engineering. Like if you want to get into aerospace engineering in Karnataka, there is something called a CET, common entrance test, that you will have to write and get through merit list. Or in Tamil Nadu also there are a lot of colleges that offer aeronautical. Hindustan, Nehru, Kartaga. There's one college in Namakkal also, which is not recommended, but if you want to, then it is through an IMST counseling. Without JEE exam, which subject is very important for aerospace engineering? Uh, which subject is very important to for aerospace engineering is uh, there's nothing like that. Mm. As I said, there are 5 domains: aerodynamics, propulsion, avionics, structural engineering. All of them are important for aerospace. But you can specialize in something. It's not important, but you can specialize in something. You can become a propulsion engineer, propulsion expert, aerodynamics expert. You can enter into IISc, IISc colleges. Yes, IISc is possible. Institute of Space Technology through Trivandrum. It is possible and it is through JEE. IISc, Indian Institute of Science, does not offer a bachelor's course for aerospace engineering. So you can't enter into like cannot become an aerospace engineer with a bachelor's degree from the Institute of Science. You will have to do your BTech, and then IISc offers, Indian Institute of Science offers master's degree in aerospace engineering, not bachelor's. So I think that's it. All the questions. as I said, pilot would take time. There is no specific time because there is a lot of courses that you will have to take and a lot of licenses that you will have to obtain, and there is some number of flying hours that you have to do before becoming a pilot. So as I said, after your BTech, it could take 5 to 6 years to become a pilot. So it depends also. If you are able to get all those clearances within 3 years, you can become a pilot. But usually, on an average, it takes 5 to 6 years after your bachelor's, after your degree graduation to become a pilot in commercial. Maths can be useful for aerospace. Maths is useful for every engineer. Engineering is based on maths. If you're good at maths, I mean, if you want to become a good engineer, try to make sure you are good at maths. How many courses you need to complete to become a aerospace engineer? What do you mean by courses? Do you mean subjects? Or yeah, usually it is close to 30 subjects you'll have to clear to become an aerospace engineer. That would be, yeah, 30 subjects. Okay, thank you so much. I think the questions are done.
So much, Sudhindra, for your. Am I audible?
Hello.
Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, you're audible.
Thank you so much for your patience for children's questions and answering them and clarifying their doubts.
Sure, it's not
And
an issue at all.
definitely, it they pave the way for them to take a decision on that or to guide others. And even the parents have been appreciated in the chat. I was very happy about it too, for the parents also to taking part and to they are in a very crucial role to take a decision for the children. It's really
Yes,
very much thankful to you on behalf of Velama Knowledge Park. And we also like to be in touch with you and academic future. And we also want to celebrate the success that you're going to take it in near future. We wish you all the very best
sure,
from Velama Park of which we are like to share it with you. And take some time to visit us. And you can also meet.
sure.
You can also have some physical meetings whenever you come down. Anyway, Velama campus is always there for you to welcome. We always keep the hands open to welcome you and proud about you, Sudhindra, for your success. I'm wishing you all the
Thank you
very
so much,
best.
ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sudhindra.
And all the best to all the students who are like writing your 10th, 12th, or anything for the fact of the matter. So all the best to all of you, and whatever you take, like it's not one thing I would like to say is it's not about where you are doing. If you don't get IIT, you get NIT. If you don't get NIT, anywhere you do, anywhere you do your engineering, MBBS, or whatever it is, it's not where you do, what you do. Nothing matters. It's about how you do it. So all the best to all of you, and make sure you don't lose your hope at any point of time. Try to have fun, first of all, be it in your college days or school days, have fun, but then at the same time study. Try to make sure you get some amount of good grades, and then try to uh, enjoy whatever you are doing. All the best to all of you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for the opportunity to all the teachers.
Thank you, Sudhindra, for your permission and just
Thank
sign off the session. And we'll be in keep in touch with you. And the children who ever want to reach Sudhindra, we can help you through your career with leaders or the principals. You can approach me. I'm Hemlata from Velamal Knowledge Park, the international school. We'll help you to connect with Sudhindra whenever he is available, definitely. So wishing you all the very best for your futures. Thank you. Thank you, Sudhindra.